Reviewing the Age of Discovery menu from the Conrad Hotel in Algarve. This menu was sent in to me. I have never been to this bar, and it was sent to me by Nelson de Matos. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but deal with it. I want to cover all sorts of menus on this channel, from famous bars where I know a bunch of people to places less well known, and this is one of those menus. First impressions. Okay, as a first impressions, the front cover, it is very sexy. It looks like one of those old-timey-wimey Christopher Columbus-y era of exploration style cool maps. The actual texture of the front cover is great. It's sort of like furry. It's almost like a weird furry little carpet. It's really cool on your hands. Age of Discovery. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's get stuck in. Okay, it's all in Portuguese. Luckily, I have an iPhone, so I'm going to Google Translate that shit. Google Translate says that this is a cocktail menu designed by Nelson himself. It features 10 drinks, all inspired by a Portuguese poet, and it's his interpretation of that guy's poetry and some of the key events and things in the poem. Pretty sexy, I would say. Best Bar Menu Awards 2018. They love to put their awards into menus, don't they? Okay, I didn't have to use Google Translate. There's a second page where it's all in English. Good job, Dan. Okay, page 2 and 3, Age of Discovery, chapter number 1. The hand of Venus holds gin and rose water. Sure, 17% alcohol. Fruity, aromatic, refreshing. Okay. Again, this logo of Heinz Beck Gusto. Bit of a red flag. Next page, chapter 2, The Maneuver. Bullet with rice protein infusion. That sounds very strange. Third drink. Echoes of History. Redistillation of Kettle 1 with seafood broth. I assume this man has a rotavap. Rotavap. Yeah! I like the idea of playing with savory, but I always find it challenging. Okay, well there you go. 10 drinks, straight up, no issue. I guess time to get practical. A couple of details regarding the practical section before we get to the pros and cons. Let's cover all the basics. There's 10 drinks on the menu. There's 14 pages. The menu weighs 80 grams. And the price of all drinks is actually 16 euros, which is fucking high. Especially for Portugal. The entire menu is a Diageo portfolio buyout. It is what it is. Other than that, it's clean, crisp, and easy. So let's get on to pros. Pro number 1, the layout. I know I say this all the time, and I'm gonna say it again because today is no different. You love a good crispy layout. 1 drink per page, name, illustrated in some way, the ingredients, a little descriptor. And I don't know why they did it. They have the alcohol percentage. Pro number 2, the length, 10 drinks. I've got 10 fingers in my hands, so easy to count. Pro number 3, it's bilingual, which means I can read and I can order and I can enjoy myself. But there are some cons. Con number 1, other than the cocktail menu, there's no expanded universe. I've got no non-alcoholics, I've got no spirits list, I've got no bar snack menu. These could be provided separately, but I don't see it on here. Con number 2, there's no contents. If there was a contents page, you could quickly go from A to Z and order what you want. Overall, that's really it. When the menu's short and compact and functional, there's not much else you can say when it comes to the practical section. So in that case, let's move on to visual. Visually, this is quite a pleasing menu. There's lots of beautiful illustrations. It's very in theme. Every single page has got something different about it while linking everything together. Me likey. It seems the visual concept is very much this old-timey-wimey mappy thing. All of these Renaissance style paintings alluding to the great time of colonization. Wouldn't go well over in America nowadays, would it? Regardless, pros and cons. Pro number 1, front and back cover. It's very visually striking. Great. Pro number 2, every single drinks page is somehow visually represented, from the name to the title around it or a little illustration at the bottom of the page. Pro number 3, the border, the background, the lettering, nothing is left behind. They've thought of the entire concept 360. But there is always some cons. Con number 1, stop putting logos of shit you've won into your menu. If somebody's coming into your bar having heard about an award you've won from somewhere, they already know that you won an award. And when they're there, being reminded on every single fucking page that you've won some sort of award is obnoxious. Have you won Best Bar Menu? No? Pfft, I'm out of here. It just feels like, look at me, give me more attention. Con number 2 is that some of the visual representations for the cocktail don't really match the name of the drink. Like we have a picture of a ship and it's called the Maneuver. I get it, but like Believers and it's an ugly swordfish. And this leads me on to concept. Now the concept of this menu, according to them, is that it's a tribute to poetry from a a Portuguese poet. Obviously, I didn't know who this was, so I quickly googly, and I found out that apparently he was, if not the most important Portuguese poet that has ever lived. And this is where it gets a bit tricky, because if I don't know the inspiration material, because it's very particular and niche, that makes my review a little bit different, a little bit difficult, but it's also easier. Pros and cons. Pro number one, it's a unique niche concept that is historically accurate to its location. That's cool. If you know what they're talking about, you could get really into the menu. That means you have some sort of connection, which means every drink has a certain level of storytelling. And I guess that's it. There's nothing more to add conceptually, because I don't know this poet. So there's only so much I can say. Cons, of which I only have two. And con number one, I think using all Diageo products and having a portfolio buyout may not necessarily do anything for your menu. If this guy was traveling to India and beyond, Macau, according to Wikipedia, I'm not sure the Hay Club has got anything to do with the quest to paradise. Also, you're adding Hay Club to a drink which has Zacapa 23, spices, 70% black chocolate, cinnamon, chamomile, and Darjeeling. No one is tasting Hay Club in that drink. Hay Club is gone. And this brings me to con number two, the choice of your inspiration and the execution of that inspiration. Now, if I am not Portuguese and I haven't heard of this poet, then your concept means nothing to me. If all the chapters, cocktails in the menu are inspired by a particular poem, why don't you explain that to me? Like a little bit deeper. By the Hand of Venus. Why? Like, what was there a quote in the poem that inspired that? Give me just a little bit more. Otherwise, it's just a mess. Here's the name, sounds cool. Here's a really tasty drink. Maybe they don't fit, but we'll say it's part of this poetry. But if you're a 5-star hotel in what is predominantly a tourist destination, maybe you should explain that. As a closing statement, the best way to describe this menu, imagine if you've turned up to a gangbang and everyone's on some sort of drug, but you didn't get any. You're still gonna fuck and blow one out and have a good time, but you're not gonna have as much of a cool time as if you were on that drug everybody is on. The concept does nothing for me, but I'll still get drunk on the drinks. Regardless, thank you, Nelson, for sending us this menu. It is beautiful, it feels wonderful, and I'm really happy that you did this for me. And hopefully one day I'll visit the Conrad Hotel and I'll pay for a 16 euro cocktail.